What's going on, guys? It's ItsAdiar here, back with the Path of Exile 2 video, and I wanted to give you a day one first impressions kind of just rundown on everything that I kind of experienced or felt going into Path of Exile. Um, if you don't know, I tried to avoid as much information as possible on the game. I watched the EA stuff, but for the most part, I've been pretty good about not like seeking out tons of information. I wanted to experience the game as unbiased, as unopinionated as possible. So that's what I'm going to be giving to you now. If you enjoy this kind of content, maybe throw the like on the channel. Throw a sub at the channel. If not, that's fine too. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into this. Let's just go ahead and start with combat first. All right, so combat bosses feel good. Some of them feel a little bit gimmicky. A few of them feel a little bit unfair. But for the most part, I think bosses feel they feel overall good. There's a bit of a learning curve, but once you've got that curve down pat, it seems that for the most part you'll probably be able to get through it. Lack of damage notwithstanding, because there's some damage problems for sure for a lot of builds. I'm curious, however, in the bossing category specifically, how's melee doing? Like actual true melee. I don't mean like invoker. I can throw projectiles and like stand like at the edge of the screen with my glacial cascade and all this other shit. I mean actual melee. How are you feeling right now? Because I have to imagine that your dodge roll button already is like sweating. Like it's looking at you like, man, why are you pressing me so much? Maybe I'm wrong, but that's just what I expected would happen based on how everything's felt to me so far. Rare mobs are hit or miss. They tend to fit in one of three categories, and there's a little in between. They either fall straight over, they are about what you would expect for a rare in that area, or they are completely and utterly fucking unkillable. Period. Point blank. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Just unkillable. I ran into a situation where I had four separate instances of dot damage on a rare mob with life regen. Could not kill it. I was playing ED Contagion, and anything with life regen was unkillable. It did not matter what mob type it was. It did not matter what the zone level was. If it had life regen and I was in that zone, I wasn't killing it. Trash packs and blue mobs feel incredibly overtuned. Not only are they extremely tanky for their perceived rarity and abundance, but there's so many of them that if you don't have an AoE skill lined up and you're not like super quick on your dodge rolls, 99 times out of 100, they will physically push your character into a wall, surround you, and then it's just GG go again. And you can't stop it, because if they can push your character, you can't dodge roll through them. So there's that. It's strange because you would think that would be the reverse order, but it feels like the lower the rarity of the mob goes, the less in tune it feels. The actual gameplay of combat for the character feels good and feels smooth. D4 combat to me feels, if I had to describe it in a word, crunchy, chunky, maybe stiff or rigid. I get none of that here. Everything my character does feels smooth for the most part. However, the casting times and the reduced attack times can make it can make some skills feel pretty terrible, honestly. If you have literally any like skill speed, cast speed, or attack speed anywhere on your skill tree that's nearby, grab it. It will change your. It is life changing. Just do it. The dodge roll feels. The dodge roll is very binary feeling for me. It either feels like it's life saving or life ending. even like the smallest mob, if you dodge roll into them, will hard stop you mid roll. And that just goes back into that getting surrounded and getting killed thing that I mentioned earlier during uh, the trash mob, because it happens so many times. I would wager majority of my deaths are to getting surrounded randomly. Which and you also have to think about this too. You're constantly having to kill way more than you might want to, because if you go into a choke point, you're probably going to get choked out. If you don't, it's just that's how it is. It's hard. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how else to describe it. It's just that's what happens. um, the actual character movement outside of dodge roll feels fairly good, which is great because I've had to backpedal almost every pack of mobs I've run into, especially going out of Act 1 and into Act 2, and then from Act 2 to Act 3. Every time I progress my act, I feel like I'm backpedaling more and more and more. So thankfully, that feels good. All of this combines into a kind of simple TLDR that goes as follows. The combat is responsive but slow. Damage is low. The chance of death is constant, and it quickly, especially after the first act, goes from engaging and enjoyable to just kind of being draining and then exhausting, with very little power spikes to be found to help alleviate that exhaustion and give you that go fast, feel good feeling, at least in my opinion. Moving on to the skill tree, I don't have much to say here. You get points, you level slowly, which means you get points slowly, which automatically just makes the skill tree feel less impactful than it does in Path of Exile 1. Keystones can be interesting, but quite frankly, most of the notables have nothing notable about them. For example, in PoE 1, I would be pathing toward a notable that would give me +1 projectile, and I could do that twice. Here, I'm pathing toward a cluster that will take me multiple points once I actually fill out the cluster. That gives me a less than 50% chance at extra projectiles on my spell. The skill tree is large, it's expansive, but it feels boring, and it feels like it lacks any actual character or soul. It looks good. You can tell, like, visually they made it look good, but it doesn't feel good. It feels so, I feel like it has so little impact outside of like a couple of things. It is what it is. The zones all feel and they all look great, which is good because you are going to be spending an absolutely ridiculous amount of time inside of each and every single one of them. More than once I full cleared a zone just to miss like the tiny spot where I was supposed to like go in and find the thing I was looking for. And then I would just be re-clearing the whole zone for like minute, there was literally one zone I spent 10 or 11 minutes in just running around because I missed like the little tiny fraction on the minimap that was blue that I was supposed to go into. And it's just, it feels bad. But then when you add into the fact that if you die toward even if you, no matter where you're at in the zone, if you die at the end of the zone, right before you're about to leave, you have to restart that zone and everything respawns. That combined with the large zones and the slog of combat with the even trash mobs just makes it feel tedious for the sake of being tedious. Visually, it looks great. Gameplay wise, the size is just far, far, far too much. Bringing me to my final point that I really want to just discuss right now, which is going to be loot. Let's not even beat around the bush. Loot feels fucking terrible. Be it the lack of support skill drops, the lack of items off of bosses that we're expected to spend like extended time periods killing, or even just gold. During this campaign, nothing feels like it is dropping in an amount that you would want or expect it to be dropping in. I spent a little over an hour on the Act 2 end boss, low damage OP, by the way, just, heads up there. Only for him, after I killed him, to drop 3 blue items, 1 rare helmet that could not beat my item level 15 helmet, and a potion, a life flask, that was a tier lower than the life flask I was already using. I don't mind fighting long boss fights. I don't mind fighting hard boss fights. But could I maybe be rewarded for doing so? And while, yes, I was getting like exalted drops, just getting exalts doesn't really fix anything when you can't find anything to use them on. Magic items are pure RNG. You have no control over them other than the augment, which is just like you can augment and pray. That's about it. You have no way to roll your magic item for the mod a good mod for you. So until you find something that has a good mod, you have no way to upgrade. Nearly all of my character's item progression was boiled down to basically me praying that the vendor had an upgrade. Because if the vendor didn't have an upgrade, I didn't have an upgrade. I gambled a couple of times, which felt really bad for the cost, and never found anything good. And by the time I hit Act 3, my body armor was still item level 3, and I had still not been able to beat my item level 9 when I got to Act 3. And I was unable to beat it. I just could not find anything that had anything on it. So I don't know what's going on with loot. I hope that gets addressed. If I have to slog through everything, at least make me feel like I'm rewarded for doing so. Because right now I don't. And heaven forbid you like pick a bad skill like I did and have to like change it out. Good luck, because spirit skill drops don't exist. Support skill drops don't exist. And skill, like the actual active skills, mean nothing if you have no supports. So that's where I'm at after the first 24 hours. I'm hoping things get alleviated in Cruel and then even more in maps. We'll see how it goes, and hopefully I will see you at some point on the live stream today. I'm ItsAdiar. Thank you for stopping by. I'm out.